Have you ever felt like you're your own worst enemy? You know, with that inner critic that just never seems to shut up? Well, in this explainer, we're diving into Don Miguel Ruiz's absolute classic, The Four Agreements. It's this amazing guide based on ancient Toltec wisdom that gives us a simple but really profound code of conduct to find our own personal freedom. So, let's get right into it. This quote right here, this is the heart of the whole book. Ruiz's big idea is that most of our suffering doesn't actually come from the outside world. Nope. It comes from these invisible agreements we've made with ourselves. That constant self-judgment, the criticism we carry around every single day. I mean, think about it. From the moment we're born, we're basically trained on how to act, what's right, what's wrong, who we're supposed to be. We get conditioned into what Ruiz calls the dream of the planet. And you can see that internal battle right here. All that chaos from society's rules fighting against our desire to just be free. The book asks this simple but totally life-changing question. What if you could actually wake up and create a whole new dream for yourself? Okay, so to understand the solution, we first have to really get a grip on the problem. And according to this Toltec wisdom, the problem starts with something called domestication. Yeah, that sounds a little harsh, right? But just think about it for a second. As kids, we're trained through this system of rewards and punishments. When we follow the rules, we're a good boy or a good girl, and we get attention. When we don't, we get punished or ejected. So naturally, we learn to chase the reward and run from the punishment. And slowly but surely, we internalize this entire rulebook that we never even chose. So what happens is this domestication creates what Ruiz calls a book of law inside our minds, the super rigid set of beliefs about how we should be. And all that internal noise, that chaotic fog of voices in our head, that's what the Toltecs called the metote. And policing this whole mess are two characters, the inner judge, who is just relentless, pointing out every single flaw, and the victim, who just takes the punishment and carries all the shame. And the result? We end up living in this constant state of fear of not being good enough, and we become total experts at abusing ourselves. So if we're living in this self-made prison of judgment, this fog, how in the world do we get out? Well, Ruiz says we have to break those old fear-based agreements and adopt 4 brand new ones. And it all starts with the first one, which is arguably the most important of them all. This sounds so simple, but wow, it is incredibly profound. See, our words have the power to create. They can build the most beautiful dream, or they can destroy everything around us. Being impeccable with your word is the absolute foundation for creating what Ruiz calls your personal heaven on earth. But what does impeccable actually mean? So here's the key. The word impeccable literally means without sin. And a sin, in this context, isn't about some external moral rule. A sin is anything you do that goes against yourself. So when you judge yourself, you're using your word against yourself. When you gossip, you're using that creative power to spread what Ruiz calls emotional poison, which always comes back to bite you. This agreement is all about using your words for truth and for love, and that starts with yourself. Okay, let's make this super practical. Just think about your inner voice for a second. Is it constantly tearing you down? This agreement is about flipping that script. So the next time you look in the mirror, instead of hunting for flaws, just try speaking some words of affirmation. I know it might feel a little weird at first, but what you're literally doing is reprogramming your own mind. You're using your word to create a new, much more loving reality. Okay, let's move on to the second agreement. This one is a game changer. It builds on the first one, and it acts like this powerful shield against all the negativity we run into from other people. Just 4 simple words. Don't take anything personally. But man, if you can truly, deeply internalize this one, it will completely change your entire life. The thinking behind this is just so liberating. You see, everything people say and do is just a projection of their reality, their book of law, their personal dream. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. When we take things personally, we're buying into this idea of personal importance, that their world somehow revolves around us. The moment you realize it's not actually about you, you become immune to that emotional poison of their opinions and actions. Think about it this way. Someone cuts you off in traffic and lays on the horn. Is it because of who you are as a person? Of course not. It's because they just got fired, or they're late, or they're just having a terrible day. You didn't change in that moment. Their situation did. Remembering that diffuses your own anger and protects your peace. And this right here really lays out the choice we have in every moment. We can keep living in that dream of hell, that chaotic mitote where we beat ourselves up and take every negative comment to heart.
Or we can start creating our dream of heaven right here, right now, by using our words impeccably and becoming immune to the poison from others. It's a choice we get to make all day long.
This brings us perfectly to the third agreement, which tackles one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sources of drama and misunderstanding in our lives.
Oh man, we do this all the time, don't we? Our brains just love to fill in the blanks when we don't have all the info. We assume we know what someone is thinking. We assume why they did what they did, and then we react to our own made-up story like it's 100% true. We create so much suffering over things that weren't even real to begin with.
So let's say your friend cancels plans at the last minute. Your mind immediately starts spinning stories, right? They must be mad at me, or they don't care about our friendship. We invent a whole drama in our heads. This agreement offers a simple, powerful way out. Just ask. Find the courage to ask questions and get clarity instead of inventing conflict. One clear question can completely dissolve a mountain of suffering you just made up.
And now for the fourth and final agreement. This one is huge. It's the one that acts like the engine, bringing the other three to life and turning them from just cool ideas into actual, sustainable habits.
This one is all about action. It's about taking those first three agreements and actually putting them into practice day in and day out. But there's a really important and very compassionate little detail to this one. So here's the crucial thing to get. Your best is not some fixed, rigid standard. It changes constantly. Your best when you're healthy and full of energy is going to be way different than your best when you're sick or exhausted. This agreement is an invitation to just do what you can with what you've got in this moment, and to do it without judging yourself. The goal isn't perfection, that just feeds the inner critic. The goal is consistent action. It's that repetition that actually rewires your brain and makes these new agreements feel like second nature. So when you put all four of these agreements together, you don't just have a nice set of rules. You have a practical, honest-to-goodness roadmap, a path to break free from that old dream and consciously start creating a new one. The very first step is just becoming aware of your old fear-based agreements. You can't change what you don't even see. And it is so important to remember you are undoing a lifetime of conditioning. This isn't going to happen overnight. It's a slow process, and it requires a ton of patience and compassion for yourself. And this, right here, is the ultimate promise of the book. When you practice these agreements, you stop feeding the fear and the drama of the mitote. You take your personal power back. You stop just reacting to life, and you start creating it. You begin to consciously and deliberately design your own reality, your personal dream of peace, love, and freedom, your own heaven on earth. Look, this isn't just theory. It's a practical guide for how to live. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Which one of these four agreements really speaks to you right now? Which one can you consciously start practicing starting today? The whole path to freedom begins with that one single intentional step.